formalities left, such as voting, but he shouldn't worry about it. They will be able to help him secretly, but most of the time he is on his own. Lao Wang said that it turns out there is still a vote. He thought they had already taken care of it. Bai Wu told them not to worry, he would be careful and solve this issue. And he himself thought that he would definitely get their votes. Meanwhile, Scar was on the phone again. He said that Lao Sun had been expelled from the circle. Old Chi would try to put one of his own in his place. The man replied to him that he already knew that this cowardly old man had convinced everyone to vote for his deductions. His business is suffering. He won't let their plans come to pass. The next step is sure to be successful. Scar said he hoped he wouldn't have to remember his old skills against theirs. Master Wu said that he was so happy and invited everyone to sit until morning, because it would be so much fun. They will invite their family, and they will also call those small ones, let them join. He's talking about his grandchildren. Lao Wang said that he often heard about the skill of the Wu family's personal kitchen. They were very lucky. It's like tasting a divine peach. And Bai Wu thought that this was a good opportunity to check out the rest of the Wu family members. Then Mr. Chi received a message from Chi Zio. She texted him that she would be late. Master Wu said that it was not worth waiting for her, they should continue. And then he turned to Bai Wu and said that they would wait, because they had nowhere to hurry, and invited him to play guess or pinch. Lao Wang told him that you are a great opportunity to show off his abilities. Bai Wu thought that he would like to play, but he doesn't even know if the system can help him. But he said that then he would start. He will try to guess what time Zio will come. And I thought I should try. And I asked the system that it would come by 18. The system said that the probability of arrival by 18 is 0%. Bai Wu was surprised, said it was clear, but they were trying further. And I asked the system that it would be by 7. But the system said that the probability of arrival by 19 is 0%. Then Bai Wu asked her what could happen by 10. She can't come any later, can she? But the system said that the probability of arriving by 10 is 0%. Then Bai Wu had already tensed up and thought that really she wouldn't come. Is something really going to happen? Is it life-threatening? The system said that the probability of danger to life is 76.4%. Bai Wu was already scared and thought it was related to death. Then he told his masters that he had just calculated and realized that Zio could be in mortal danger. Master Wu got up first and started shouting. What made him think that? She's just walking around. They're all going now. Mr. Na Chi said that quietly he would call her now, but the girl was unavailable. Mr. Chi said that most likely she is busy, maybe she is on a mission, there she usually turns off the phone. But the deadly danger. Bai Wu asked the system to indicate on the map where Zio is now. The system has started downloading. Bai Wu asked her if she was joking. After all, a person's life is at stake. Master Wu asked Mr. Chi, why is he so calm? They should ask someone and go after her. Master Wu got up and tried to call himself. He was told that Zio was hunting a petty thief. Nothing special with her skills. Then Mr. Che got up and told them to sit down. Then he himself will find out what's the matter. Then Bai Wu got up and asked them to let them find her on their own. He would find her. Sir, Chi told him that then let him be careful. Master Wu said that well, he should start looking from the apartment. It's not far from here, let the Hongtai go with him. Then Juntoi and Bai Wu came up, said they had gone. Huangtai said that he would drive the car, and let him tell what to do. Bai Wu said it was fine, and he himself thought that he was her older brother, so why wasn't he worried at all? He must be very experienced. He thinks that with him he will have a safety net, and asked the system if the road is safe. The system said that the road safety is 100%. Bai Wu thought that they were having such a good time. But you need to stop thinking about it, because now is not the time. Zio was on a mission right now. Her man contacted her. She said she was there and asked what about them. She was told that they had blocked the windows, he could not escape. She asked what was good and how they were doing. She was told that no one was safe. Zio said she reminds again the killers are armed. They have to be careful. After that, they started climbing the stairs, and she said that they had started. The man was sitting in his apartment and talking on the phone. He told his brother not to worry, because everything is fine, and they just have to wait for the buyer's call. His brother told him that he should keep his eyes open and not screw up. Then they knocked on his door and asked if anyone was at home. They introduced themselves as a gas check. The man looked through the peephole and already had a gun ready. He started opening the doors and said that he was already on his way. Let them stop knocking, he had just woken up. Meanwhile, Bai Wu was racing in a car with Wu Hongtai. He asked the system, what is the percentage of danger to Zio's life now? The system said the danger to life is 81.4%. Zio entered his apartment and asked for forgiveness for disturbing him. She said she needed to check the gas pipeline. The man said she seemed very capable. Then Xiao immediately pounced on him. Bai Wu told Hongtai that after 700 meters he should turn left and then right and straight ahead. The system said that the probability of using a weapon is 100%. The probability of Chi Xiao's death is 89.5%. The probability of arriving at the destination soon is 71%. The probability of information about the enemy's weapons is 55%. The system keeps on loading. Then Bai Wu shouted that it was necessary to stop by the residential complex. At that moment, Chi Xiao and his partner had already prepared the handcuffs. That man pulled out a gun. Chi Xiao noticed this and rushed to defend her partner. At that moment, the criminal jumped out of the window. Chi Xiao ran after him, shouting that he would not escape. Then the man started shooting at her with a pistol. But then Bai Wu and her brother came to the rescue. The man ordered them to get off. Then the juntai opened the car door and hit this criminal with it. Then he laid him down and tied him up. The police arrived, and they took him away. Bai Wu exhaled. Xiao also thought that everything was finally over. She turned to her brother and asked, "What is he doing here?" And I saw Bai Wu behind him. Bai Wu was scared and thought he was alive. He fired from a real loaded pistol, but did not survive. Hongtai told his sister that he had come to check on her progress. Thanks to Mr. Bai, they managed to arrive on time, and they managed to avoid disastrous consequences. Then Chi Xiao grabbed Bai Wu's hand and asked him if he even knew how dangerous it was. These battles are not something that ordinary citizens should be engaged in. Then she was informed that they had problems upstairs they could not approach. The girl said it was good. She thanked them all for their help. Bai Wu wiped the sweat off his smiling face and said that he wouldn't have come if he was indifferent to her life. He thought that he hadn't even planned to get a thank you. He hopes that nothing else will happen. That juntai told him that it was time for them to return, and asked him that everything is definitely fine with him. Bai Wu tensed up again and thought, is this how the problem is solved? And asked the system what is the probability of a threat to Xiao. The system said that the probability of no danger is 0%. The probability of Chi Xiao's death is almost 91%. Bai Wu wondered how such a thing was even possible. They ran up the stairs, and the percentage of her death continued to grow. They never stopped growing. Bai Wu thought that the bandit had already been arrested. There are several other people upstairs besides her. Does this mean that there is someone else? He burst upstairs and shouted her name. He entered the apartment, but did not see anything suspicious. Chi Xiao and two other policemen were standing in the apartment. Xiao asked him why he was so surprised. He has to get out of here. Bai Wu rolled his eyes and thought that he was scared, because he thought that something really had already happened. But what could threaten her? Antique dealer. Who is this criminal? One of the policemen said, Chi Xiao, that the evidence points to the presence of accomplices in the criminal. Xiao said that they probably left for a while. He had a gun. It was pretty dangerous. She ordered the doors to be closed, to inform the others so that they would closely monitor the staff here, which arouses their suspicions. They should check everything as carefully as possible. The percentage of threat to the life of Chi Xiao continued, is 91.7%. Bai Wu thought that there was very little time to do what was threatening her. At that moment, Chi Xiao was contacted by her man and told that the facility was receiving complaints from curious residents. He asks if they haven't finished. Bai Wu thought that the curious residents, the object, the hostage, how dangerous is it to rescue hostages? The system said that the average percentage of failure in the time of hostage rescue is 97.3%. Then Bai Wu couldn't stand it and told Chi Xiao that he had to tell her something very important, and the percentage of her mortality was increasing. Chi Xiao was very busy right now and told him that it would be better next time. It's not safe here right now. And I told them that they already have to go back. And turning to her colleagues, she said that they should already go ahead. Bai Wu didn't back down and said no. The thing is, but Chi Xiao didn't let him finish and told him that he had to go. Does he stop her from working? Then Bai Wu couldn't stand it and shouted that enough was enough. He couldn't leave her here, and thought he might just ignore her possibility of dying. And he asked her that maybe he was meddling in his own business, but she didn't think she was relaxing too much. Now she's looking for someone. The search area is too big, she doesn't have enough people, and she doesn't know where to start. The more she is to me, the more likely it is to lose control of the situation. Chi Xiao thought about it, but told him to continue. Bai Wu told her that he knew where to start following. Should she trust him, she should listen to him and then make a decision, and thought he hoped she wouldn't send him. She looks very sullen. Maybe she didn't believe him, but Chi Xiao said that she listens to him well. Bai Wu was shocked. Chi Zio blushed and cleared her throat, saying that he should say what he wanted. If he wants to help her so much, he'd better take the matter very seriously. Besides, today is an emergency. Bai Wu thought that it seemed possible to deal with her. You don't often meet such people. She got straight to the point. He told her that criminals can't stay holed up anywhere. Besides, one of them had just been caught. He thinks, but then he noticed cigarettes on the floor and picked them up, said that besides, he would have to go out before buying cigarettes. He showed her the map and said there should be a small supermarket to the south of here. Chi Zio didn't wait any longer. She grabbed his hand and said that it was good they were going there. She informed her people that she was heading to a small supermarket in the south for search and possible arrest. The system would say, that the probability of civilians being involved is 80.4%. The probability of going to buy cigarettes is 100%. The readiness to escape is 95.7%. He looked in the phone and said, Chi Zio, that there is a small street to the south. From there they can get out. But there are too many people there. At that moment, the probability of a threat to civilians began to decrease and amounted to 44.25%. He said he must have realized they were looking for him. Then Chi Zio was informed that the target had been found. They are coming from the east and it seems that he is ready to escape. Chi Zio started climbing into the car and told him not to worry, there are a lot of people around. Let him run away. He must not lag behind and protect civilians. He has to get in the car. They drove the car at full speed. Chi Zio said that if he went to the supermarket to the south, then they should move out from the east. They should pass the fork, and there is just a commercial area. Bai Wu said there are 2 multi-story villages to the north. Zio said that they would check everyone for documents. The traffic management service will cooperate. All drivers will be checked for alcohol consumption. The criminal escaped armed, most likely, requested reinforcements. She was told that everything was accepted. 2 passers-by at the fork. Chi Zio reported that she is obliged to evacuate the residence. Liu is still following the suspects. She was told that he had left the high-rise building and was heading towards the unfinished buildings. Zio told them that they had to warn Liu that the enemy was armed and he had to take people away from there. They should order the exit to be blocked. She is obliged to send someone to outflank the enemy. Meanwhile, they had already arrived at this place and Chi Zio immediately rushed to look for the culprit. Meanwhile, Bai Wu was very unwell after this trip. Jintami stood and supported him. Bai Wu told him that he was fine. He should hurry up and catch up with Chi Zio. Should he protect her? After Hongtai ran to Zio's aid, Bai Wu thought the worst was over. Then the system informed him that the probability of a threat to Chi Zio is 0%. Bai exhaled and lit up again, thinking that it was all thanks to Master Wu. But then something got into his head. It was a little kid who was messing around on a construction site. He stuck out his tongue at Bai Wu. Just what jumped over the fence. Bai Wu shouted to this boy, asked him that how can you run so fast with a bear? Then he sensed danger and shouted to the boy to stop. Here, the probability of danger for Zio increased again. Now it was almost 100%. The probability of a child being taken hostage is 90%. Bai Wu thought, is it really impossible to do without hostages for once? And rushed to the rescue, thinking that why can't he do anything? Then the boy was almost exhausted, but he told Bai Wu that he would never catch up with him, calling him garbage. But then he noticed one of the bandits. Then Chi Zio also ran up to this place. She saw a bandit rushing at this child in order to take him hostage. But then Bai Wu rushes in and saves this child. And then a shot rang out. Here the system issued a system error. Bai Wu woke up in the car. Chi Zio came up to him and told him to wake up, calling him a brave citizen. Bai Wu asked if the baby was okay. Has the criminal been caught yet? Chi Zio told him not to worry, because everything is fine. The accomplice has already been arrested and will soon be brought to justice. Well, it looks like he hit his head hard when he fell. And I asked him what could take him to the hospital. She was embarrassed and said that when she saw him fall on the floor, she thought he might have had a concussion. Bai Wu thought he remembered hitting himself, but it didn't seem to hurt anymore. Despite the system glitch, Chi Zio's problem seems to have already been solved. Then Chi Zio asked him, why is he silent? Is it really a concussion after all? They're going to the hospital right now. She'll drive. Bai Wu said he was fine. There was no need to go to the hospital. The system started loading data with an error. The system cannot make the calculation. He accidentally grabbed Chi Zio by the arm. They were both embarrassed and Bai Wu, throwing away his hand, said that honestly, there was no need to worry so much. And he himself thought that the case was already over, which means he can go. Chi Zio was confused and said that who cares about him at all? She is simply responsible for the affected citizens. Anyway, what could have happened to him? Bai-Wu thought that maybe she felt responsible because he was trying to help her. Chi Zio cleared her throat and said that again. This time he really saved the situation. And I thought that he risked his life for the sake of the child. He's not so bad. And I told him that, in short, thank him very much for helping them. She didn't treat her very well before and apologized for it. Bai-Wu was surprised, but said that come on, they should leave it in the past. He was lucky to meet a man who did so much good. He is not offended. Chi Zio said that Brother Tai said that they were worried about her, that's why they came. If they hadn't come to oral, things could have ended much worse. As expected from Master Bai. Bai-Wu said no, they were the ones who caught him. Chi Zio told him that he had helped very well in capturing the suspect. Bai-Wu said that they acted together, that's why they did everything. Chi Zio said that she had formed a wrong opinion about him earlier, that's why it turned out that way. She even feels a little hurt. Bai-Wu said that he did not agree with this. If she had not made a mistake then, he would not have been able to be where he is now. Then Chi Zio got angry and hit the car with her fist and said that it turns out that he knew everything. And he knew that that thing belonged to her family, and deliberately sold it to her grandfather at a high price. Bai-Wu got scared and got into the car, told her to stop, he could explain everything. But then Chi Zio, exhaling, leaned against the car and said that why explain something now, because it's already in the past. He helped her family, and these things still returned to her grandfather. Bai-Wu asked that she was always worried about her grandfather. Was she really afraid that he would be deceived? Wasn't she? Given her sense of fairness and professionalism, it's understandable why she's bothered by a mysterious stranger like him. She is very reliable and an outstanding specialist in her field. Chi Zio asked him what was he doing. Bai-Wu thought she was so arrogant. Then Chi Zio asked what could examine him. She opened the car and sat down next to him and said that in order to avoid trouble, he should behave with restraint. She doesn't understand him at all. He doesn't have the strength or the ability to protect himself. He needs to be careful. She's absolutely serious. It's for his own good. Okay, I'm also her grandfather, and if the bad guys get interested, he'll have problems with them. They are not so easy to stop. Bai-Wu grabbed her hand, which she had recently given birth to, and thought, where did she get such strength from? And said he knew that. And he thought that he knows that the fewer people know about him, the better, especially the enemies. But then he remembered something and asked that these two criminals were chasing antiques, wasn't it? Chi Zio asked that why was he asking this? Isn't he their prophet who sees the secrets of heaven? Bai-Wu asked that secrets can't always be seen, right? Chi Zio said that one of them has quite a lot of criminal records. She had documents somewhere, but she herself is not very knowledgeable. But the same thing that she knows, she can't just tell him. Bai-Wu thought that she wouldn't do anything that would violate the privacy rules. But even so, he doesn't think she knows all the details. A group of scammers have yet to deal with Master Chi and the antique circle. Then he remembered something and told the girl that her grandfather and the others were still waiting for news from them. But he appeared to Wu Hongtai and told them not to worry, because he had already notified them. They're waiting for the two of them to come back. Bai-Wu thought her brother was there, and asked what time is it now? Will they have time to return to them? Maybe he. But then Chi Zio stopped him and said no. He's a hero today. Therefore, let him not even think of sneaking away. She got behind the wheel and told her brother to get in the car. After they all got into the car, the girl hit the gas and said that she would definitely make it. Meanwhile, at a family banquet, the man with glasses asked the girl how much longer to wait. When will the sister come already? The girl said her sister told her she was stuck in traffic. She's probably still late, but he shouldn't be so worried. The blonde guy said that yes, let him not worry so much, because she is always unlucky. Maybe she was cursed in a previous life. Brother Chang told him not to waste words. Then the girl jumped up and said that Grandpa had come, and with him came Bai-Wu and Chi Zio. Master Wu said that he was their distinguished guest today. Everyone is familiar with Chi Lao and Chi Zio, right? He also solemnly introduces Bai-Wu or Mr. Bai to them. He's a good friend of his, he met him recently. He is a wonderful young man, and he really hopes that they will get along. Now let's have them all sit down, and told Bai-Wu to sit down here. Brother Chang told his other brother that he was able to impress even their old man. He probably has something to tell. Well, the blonde guy was clearly not thrilled and told him to just look at him. He doesn't know how he was able to deceive Grandpa. Let him catch him red-handed, he will show him where the crayfish hibernate. The girl said that Bai-Wu is a good person, she already knows him. Her other brother asked her how she knew him. Not that it's her ex. The girl told him to sit and envy in silence. With his face, it must be very hard to find a girl. Then hearing all this, Zio was furious and asked that who was mocking her little sister here. She can't wait to teach them a lesson. The girl rushed to hug her and said how much she missed her. The blonde guy said that Zio she came. Zio told him that she had asked him to call her sister Chi, and he called her Zio again. Then the guy who was sitting next to that girl told her to sit down with them. They didn't offend anyone here, they just sat and fooled around. Brother Chang said that yes, they wanted to find out what kind of fates they had such guests. Would she tell them? The blonde guy said that yes, they don't look like the children of noble families. Did their old folks just pick them up somewhere? The other guy laughed and said it was true. It's an eerily strange situation. And he asked that how could this ignoble one take such a place? Zio did not get involved in their conversation, but thought that they were from noble families. However, without their surnames, they would not be worth anything. They're just idiots. After she couldn't stand it and put a glass of wine on the table, she told everyone that Bai Wu was their guest. And Grandpa recognized his ability. They should behave decently, not create problems. And going up to her sister, she said that they needed to go, because they hadn't chatted together for a long time. The sister said yes, she had so much to tell her. She stuck her tongue out at her brothers and said they had just been fucked. After that, 2 girls left. Master Wu told Bai Wu to drink more. He shouldn't be shy. Then these 3 brothers came up and the fair-haired one said that why don't they make a toast in honor of Mr. Bai. Master Wu supported them and said yes, they should respect him, and he really hopes that they will learn a lot from him in the future. And I asked Mr. Chi that he respects him. They hadn't had a drink together for a while. The blonde guy apologized to Bai Wu, and he said that they would like to ask him for some advice. He is their esteemed guest. He must have extensive knowledge of ancient art. Brother Chang said that yes, he and his brothers would like to learn a lot from him. The 3rd brother also supported them and said that it was true. Bai Wu thought that he no longer liked these trolls. It was obvious that they wanted to make him look like an idiot. And I asked them that maybe they would recognize each other first. But Brother Chang ignored him and went to Master Wu to say that they had recently acquired some good works of art. But he doubted their authenticity. Could Mr. Bai help them, and we will just learn from him? Well, how? Lao Wang heard this and asked, what is the authenticity? Let him take a look. Bai Wu thought that thanks, of course, to him, but now you can't disgrace yourself. And he said that he was grateful for the opportunity given to him. And I told Lao Wang to sit here and finish his meal, and he'll be right back. Sir, Chi thought about Master Wu, said that let him teach them well. It is useful for them to learn something good. After that, Bai Wu left with 3 brothers. The blonde-haired man thought that what a liar he was. Now they would bring him to the surface. They went into another room, where there were antiques on the table. Mr. Chang said that he doesn't know much about antiques, and he really hopes that it won't be difficult for him to tell them about their origin. The blonde brother said that yes, it should be easy for him. Bai Wu thought that since they decided to squeeze him, they shouldn't blame him if they fall into their trap themselves. Master Wu noticed this too, thought that these youngsters decided to rein in Bai Wu, but he thinks that he will take care of himself. But as soon as Bai Wu decided to ask the system, it gave him that it was not subject to download. Bai Wu was stunned, asked what the hell. Has the system finally broken down? Then one of the brothers asked him, what? Why is he silent? Master Wu also thought about it and thought, is Bai Wu silent? He's always just been given antiques. Maybe something happened. The blonde guy asked that does it really require such a long examination? Maybe he just drank too much today. Someone intervened Lao Wang and asked this guy what he had just said. His bro is the best at antiques, he's never wrong. The blonde guy asked, then why is he silent? Had the gods abandoned him? And having already turned directly to the Bai University, I asked him what and how much to buy these things. Doesn't he know? How dare he lie to his family? Lao Wang shouted at him to keep his mouth shut. He had to go through a lot today, he was just very tired. And I asked the guy that he was from the Wu family, wasn't he? He has to keep his voice down if he doesn't want Master Wu to. Meanwhile, Master Wu was still sitting and reasoning. He thought, what happened? Is it possible that his abilities have decreased due to today's circumstances? But he is definitely not a fraudster. He has some outstanding abilities. Are these kids completely brazen? He thinks that he will have to teach him a lesson. Let them know how to slander others. Bai Wu has not recovered yet. Yes, how dare they? Meanwhile, Bai Wu was very scared and then the same thing happened to the system. Have you ever happened? What should he do now? Also, these guys clung like a leech. How would he get away? Then the blonde guy started screaming at him already and asked him what happened. Is he still not aware? then he himself is his. But then Master Wu intervened and, calling them all, asked that how dare they talk to the guests like that. They are idiots. And approaching Bai Wu, he said that these beasts lacked discipline, and he should not blame them. Bai Wu thought that he didn't even have anything to blame them for. His system has really failed. He will not be able to determine the authenticity now. Master Wu was smiling at him, but in fact he was very worried about him and thought that he really made such a face. Is he still sick? Or was he just angry at these kids? After that, he turned to these children and began to drill them with an evil look. Master Wu called them idiots again and said it was like they had been raised by dogs. They should apologize to Bai Wu faster. The blonde guy was very angry, said he was just a liar. Then Master Wu couldn't stand it, he already wanted to hit this guy. But Bai Wu said that it was not worth interfering in it for his own good. It's just a normal argument. And he said that these ink stones were fakes. They were only a few years old. They were forged under the inkwells of the Republic of China. They are very well made and collectors could appreciate them. And as for them, this is a porcelain jug from the Yongle era. It has a rich color and very fine work and technique. The production is just beautiful. It's a pity that it was made only this year. The Yongle era is the period from 1403 to 1424. The guys started googling it all on their phone and said he was really right. Bai Wu said that all people have different views on things, and he himself thought that. Fortunately, Mr. Wu helped him because it took time to reboot the system. This time, the system really almost failed him. But this time everything went pretty smoothly, but without the system, he would not have been able to do anything. This time he fought back, but this is far from the end. Master Wu said that he was worthy of being called a master, even he would not be able to determine the authenticity of some of the things here. Master Bai has such sharp eyes. Bai Wu thought that besides, and looked at the system that said it was 100% fake and it was 100% related to fraudulent groups. He thought that among the antiques there are those that are related to fraudulent groups. Last time, the system said that there is someone in the Wu family who has a connection with scammers, but who could it be? Brother Chang came forward and said that he was worthy of being called a master, and he asked his forgiveness for his rudeness. Another brother hugged him and said he was really amazing. He hopes that they will see each other often, and he will help him earn a fortune. Brother Chang also added that he respects his abilities. Only the blonde guy said that he was doing well. Brother Chang suggested they go out together for a drink. Bai Wu said no, he didn't want to bother anyone, and he himself thought that the system had failed. This family is not easy to deal with. Besides, there is a traitor among them. He needs to leave as soon as possible, because the traitor may be here. Master Wu was worried and thought, did they really make him angry? He hugged Bai Wu and said that there was no need to be so reserved, and offered them a drink together. He should have forgotten about these little scoundrels by now. Lao Wang also supported this for those and asked that why should they be in such a hurry? It's better to sit a little longer. Bai Wu thought about it and remembered the words of Chi Xiao, who told him in the car that in order to avoid trouble, he should behave with restraint. She also said that she does not understand him at all, because he has neither the strength nor the ability to protect himself. He must be careful. Therefore, he thought that this situation is very alarming to him, while the system has problems. He cannot be sure of his safety, and if something goes wrong, he will be under the gun. And he told everyone that it was too late and offered them next time. Bai Wu was about to leave, but his master Wu stopped him and told him to wait a second. And he said that he had heard that he and Xiao had known each other for a long time. Maybe it's fate. Then Lao Wang's eyes lit up, and he said that Master Wu was right, it could be fate. Master Wu also added that he had heard that Master Bai was not married yet, and asked him what about becoming part of the Wu family. Everyone was in shock. Sir, she asked him what he just said. Another guest supported him and asked if it was too early and sudden. Mr. Chi told the master that if he became a member of someone's family, it would only be the Chi family. He has known his granddaughter for a long time. He blesses them. Master Wu told him that his blessing didn't solve anything. He and their Xiao have mutual feelings. Mr. Chi began to get angry and said that his Xiao and Bai Wu also love each other. Will they be happy together? Then Chi Xiao couldn't stand it and burst into the room. She told her grandfather, what kind of nonsense is this? Wu Xiao told her grandfather that she was still too young and didn't want to think about marriage. Xiao was very upset and told her grandfather that he had never asked her and was already marrying her off. Did he really care about her opinion? Then she ran away in tears. Bai Wu clutched his head and thought, what is going on here? How he got involved in all this? And why did they talk about marriage? Only one blonde guy was furious and looked at Mr. Chi with hatred. Then Brother Chang came up to him and whispered to him to listen to him, because the old man is still here. Bai Wu noticed this and thought that these two were clearly hostile to him. Maybe they are traitors. Then the master thief laughed and told Bai Wu to go along with them. Mr. Qi joined him and told him to leave them and go have a drink with them. Bai Wu said that was exactly what he wanted. At first he wanted to leave because of his well-being, but now that he is better, he would like to have a drink with the elders. And he himself thought that they both wanted him to stay. They must care about him. Whatever it was, he had to find this traitor. After that, they sat down at the table and Bai Wu again. I kept looking at those three brothers and thought that I needed to check everyone present here. Gu Lai behaves strangely and treats him terribly. Could it be him? But the system gave an error again. Bai Wu tensed up again and thought that he couldn't believe it, that the system wouldn't help him. After all, he can't rely only on his own strength in his search. Brother Chang told the blonde-haired man that was he crazy to talk such nonsense in front of his uncle. Does he really want to die? If he wants to die, then let him die alone, and not involve others in it. Then Bai Wu came up to them, and I thought that this Brother Chang is quite perceptive, and he's pretty brave. He sat down next to them and said that it seemed he had not been able to have a drink with them. And looking at the blonde guy, I thought that he would start with him. Brother Chang told Bai Wu that he was so polite, and he has amazing abilities, and handed him a glass. The university said that they were strangers. After all, his concern was justified. But, as they say, after a strong fight, the strongest friendship is born. Then looking at the blonde guy, I asked him for forgiveness and asked if he had offended him in some way. And he himself thought that this guy does not know how to hide his thoughts. He is too stupid for a traitor. Does he want to burn a hole in it? But then this guy grabbed his hand and said that he was very interested in how he met Xiao Xiao. Bai Wu asked, "What is Xiao Xiao?" Wu Xiao Xiao said that she was also very interested. This guy was very determined. Therefore, Bai Wu decided to tease him late and said that it was fate. One day she wanted to sell one thing, and he bought it. Then they had to deal with one bandit, and they. But at that moment, this guy squeezed his hand even harder. Bai Wu wondered if he really loved her that much. So he said they were just acquaintances, they weren't even friends. Then the guy loosened his grip and asked what was true. Bai Wu said that she is a little hot-tempered, but he probably knows it that way. And also she is arrogant, it's not so easy to communicate with her. To be honest, he's a little afraid of her. That is, for a woman, she is strong. And he himself thought that he was hostile to him, and because of Qi Xiao Xiao. And because of Master Qi's words, everything only escalated. Then one of these brothers laughed out loud and said that he understood. Then, like gentle and lovely women, Brother Chang told him that she had beaten him up for molesting her. You got there, came back and told your brother to let him tell everyone about it. People like him don't need la romane. Conti 94 years old. Bai Wu thought, what are they talking about? Brother Chang said he heard he bought a yacht last week, didn't he? Is his sports car still out of the country? His brother said that what was the use of it, and everywhere they put speed limits. If you increase the speed at least for a while, you will immediately get a fine. Of course, it was possible to drive 2 laps on the racetrack. Then he decided to ask Bai Wu that he is fond of racing. Maybe they go there together. The man who stood next to them and told him that all he does is drink and have fun all day long. Does he really want to seduce Master Bai as well? He thinks he should block his card and let him think in the company for a few days. Bai Wu thought that these guys were just having fun. Especially this one doesn't look like a bandit at all. And their money depends entirely on their elders. Maybe he should look among older people. So he decided to move to another table. There were 3 men sitting there. They were all smoking and drinking. The bald man said he was meeting Mr. Wang next week. They want to play golf. The man who was sitting next to him in a suit and tie asked him what. Why don't they talk about their acquisitions? The man who was sitting next to them asked them what. Do they really do charity work? And the man in the suit asked them that they voted for an angel. He seems to be having bad luck this year. Then a woman came up to Bai Wu and said that she had heard that he could guess. Spring necklaces of the new collection looked too ordinary. After that, he was surrounded by girls. The girl with the fan said yes, but the young like it with him, she looks fresher. The girl who was standing next to her asked what they had heard, what had happened near Jan's summer house. The girl with the rim asked, what, is there some kind of problem? She heard that it almost came to a fight. Then Bai Wu's head was already boiling. He sat down on a chair and thought that these rich people talk only about earning and spending money, not a single useful information. How much time is wasted. There is no one like a traitor among them. Then Master Wu came up to him and asked if he was really ill. Then Bai Waz asked him that why did he call him master. He is more comfortable when he calls him by name. And he himself thought that the system is not working now, and since the traitor is part of the Wu family, it is not easy to find him. Maybe the master of the university could find a way. And he said he was interested. He was thinking about what he said in the afternoon, hiding groups of scammers, and he approached Wu Hongtai and told his grandfather that Miss and Uncle had come. Bai Wu thought, is there really someone else? A girl in a red dress came in and a man followed her. The girl asked for forgiveness, and she said they were stuck in traffic. Bai Wu thought that this guy didn't look like a decent citizen. The system showed that this is 88%. Bai Wu was surprised and thought, what is going on with the system? The system showed him that Uncle Wu is a bad person by 88%. Bai Wu thought, is their uncle a traitor? Then Wu Zio came up to the girl and said that they had been so long. The blonde guy came up and said that his sister decided to come right to the final. Another brother said that his sister had a lot of good workers. Brother Chang said that they had not seen each other for several days. She began to look better. Only this suspicious guy was standing on the sidelines. Bai Wu thought they were ignoring him, but the system gave an error again. So I thought the system was still buggy. He would have to deal with their uncle himself. So I decided to ask the master, who are these two? Master Wu said that this is his granddaughter and her name is Wu Ruyu, and his grandson Su Jai. Wu Ruyu came up to grandpa and said that she was very sorry that she was late, and I asked him not to be angry. Then Bai him approached one of the brothers and, pointing to Su Jai, asked that this was his sister's husband. Why is he in such a gloomy mood? Why don't they ask him about it? But that blonde guy said he was just trash. If he hadn't become part of their family, he wouldn't even be able to feed himself. Bai Wu asked if he was really a son-in-law. Then another brother came up to him and told him not to worry about him. This kid is not so simple. He does not know how he convinced his sister. He has a good education, but alas, he is useless. Bai Wu thought that how could an accomplice of a dangerous group be useless? But 88% of him is a bad person. It's not that simple. Who knows if he's a petty thief or a much bigger one? Maybe he's Da Oolong. This man looked at him very menacingly and adjusted his wedding ring. Brother patted Bai Wu on the shoulder and said that, unlike him, Master Bai is young and promising. If the old man really wants to marry Zio to him, then he should know. A lot of people were chasing her. Bai Wu even choked on it and said that he thought there was a mistake. He doesn't think Master Wu meant it. And he himself thought that it looked like Uncle Vova was not taken seriously here. But he needs a way to be sure of his assumptions. Then Wu Ryu came up to him and grabbed his shoulder. She told him that he, the esteemed guest that Grandpa brought and his name is Bai Wu, isn't that right? She thought that Grandpa would bring some old man to them. And it turned out to be such a young man. Bai Wu thought that she seemed to be more difficult to handle than Wu Zio. After all, Zio is stupid and cute. But wait a minute. He told the girl that she was much more gorgeous than him. And I thought that if Uncle Wu has problems, then his wife should be aware of them. Then this Uncle Vova could not stand it, went up to his wife and grabbed her by the hand. But Wu Ryu pulled her hand away, and she also continued to ignore her husband and asked Bai Wu what he was doing. Bai Wu said that, to be honest, he doesn't have a job as such yet. He's currently borrowing with an antique dealer, and he asked what about her. She seems to be very successful, and he himself thought that Uncle Wu had such an evil face. Maybe he just misunderstood the situation. They don't seem to be on the best of terms. Then Master Wu got into the conversation, and he said she was no match for him. Mr. Bai has a real talent. Her life is a complete fairy tale. This Uncle Wu said, what an absurdity, the Wu family is seizing some crook. Bai Wu glanced at Uncle Wu again and thought that if the couple didn't get along, then perhaps Mrs. Wu didn't know about her husband's affairs. But does he need to confirm it somehow? And asked him that Mr. Su is also a member of the ancient society. Mr. Su said he wouldn't dare, so to speak, he just knows some of their business and he likes old things. Wai Wu told him that he looked quite businesslike. Ms. Wu said that he deals with finances. He must be the head of some big company, too. Mr. Su said no, he was just an office worker. Bai Wu said that he thought that the husband of a woman like Mrs. Wu certainly knew about antiques. Well, or is part of the elite. Mr. Su said that no, he is a simple office employee. He cannot compare with him, because he has already become revered at such a young age. Bai Wu said yes, Master Wu and Master Qi are always telling him that. But he is still part of the Wu family with the support of this family. Even being a street vendor, he would still be expected to succeed. His income must not even be enough to satisfy Mrs. Wu. But then he apologized and said that he had forgotten that it was being conducted. She was the breadwinner of the family. Then he noticed that Mr. Su was frantically adjusting his ring. He said that, of course, he was trying to give his wife what she wanted, the surname of his capabilities from the bottom of his heart. Bai Wu thought that, and he was holding up well. But why does the system not work? And said that yes, this is the most important thing. Happiness is not in money. and offered him a drink, and I thought he was just a great actor. No wonder even Master Wu and Master Qi were deceived. As soon as the problem with the system is solved, he will immediately tear off this mask from him. But he can't just sit and wait for the system. Then Lao Wang asked him what was wrong with him. What was he thinking about? Did you really drink too much? Bai Wu told him that, and how does so much food fit into him? But then I remembered something and asked the fat man that he kind of told him that he was very good at gathering information, wasn't he? He took him by the head and turned it so that he was looking at Mr. Su and asked him to help with one guy. It was already late at night. Everyone decided to go outside. Everyone came out to see Bai Wu off. Master Wu was driving him and said that it was already so late because you couldn't get behind the wheel now, and asked him if he could stay the night. But Bai was told him that he was too hospitable. He couldn't bother him like that, and he had already called a taxi. And he himself thought that he should be careful with the uncle of this family. But how would he test it again? The system kept giving him an error. But now the most important thing is to fix a system error. He had already arrived at his home and decided to take a shower. After he went out and drank some water, he thought, what a hassle. No matter how much you ask, the system is still silent. This is also his fault, but I would like to gain a fortune by relying only on the system. He didn't know what it was, and he doesn't even know it now. But the system was still unavailable. Bai was clutched his head and asked, what should he do? Maybe he should turn it off somehow, and then turn it on again. He broke away and asked if they couldn't attach at least some instructions to it. Is the system still not working? But then in one of the ads it was written that there was not enough energy. Bai Wu immediately jumped up and asked that there wasn't enough energy. The system told him that a vital part of the user's IM requires a lot of energy for stable operation. Bai Wu didn't really understand and asked, what is the vital part? The system showed a picture of the brain and circled one of its parts. Then Bai Wu remembered that it was this part of his head that he had hit, and he asked if the injury was really that serious. It turns out that the system can not only determine the probability, but also heal wounds. It turns out that there is not enough energy because he is now recovering. It's strange, because before that everything was fine. But still, it's not his one injury. The system said that there was a system update, and it apologizes for the inconvenience. Bai Wu said he understood, and he asked what that is. Now no one will be able to answer his questions, right? Now he is defenseless. The system said yes, it can't. Bai Wu was scared and thought that now his dreams would come to an end. There are so many problems now, especially with a group of scammers. There should be something good in everything, but all its connections and capabilities depend on the system. How quickly will its end come without a system? Will he return to his old life? But no, he urgently needs to find a solution to this problem. He exhaled and asked the system what he needed to do in order to restore this energy. But the energy is kind of from electricity, isn't it? Or where else does the system get energy from? The system has started loading instructions for replenishing energy. Bai Wu thought that the system works on metaphysical calculations, but in general it's something like a search engine. He received it quite suddenly and did not think about its origin. Then the system flashed instructions for replenishing energy to him. In one, it was an automatic repair system. It was written here that it was impossible to calculate the repair time. The hang-up from the battle will end after the repair is completed. Under the next item it was written that external energy collection. It was said there that it was going thanks to the contacts and fees of the owner. According to paragraph 3, it was written that the extraction of the host's energy. It's fast and takes only 3 seconds. Bai Wu asked what takes 3 seconds. Can they really extract his energy? That is, to withdraw something from it, isn't it? Well, what kind of energy can be pulled out of a person? What kind of energy does the system feed on? She could take his life, it's too risky. Well, there were many more ads that said that pumping out energy would not endanger the life of the owner. Bai Wu asked what and how would it affect him. The system said it couldn't give an accurate estimate. Probably, the probability of success will be changed. Bai Wu asked what is the probability of his success. That is, his luck. He can't exchange his luck. But then what about option B? He could have collected energy for the system. He would be able to travel through mountains and rivers, as in the Xingxiang novel, and then defeat ancient mythical beasts or something like that. But his body is not capable of that. Although these restrictions confuse him, this is the best option. After all, just sitting and waiting is not an option. And I asked the system that if he chooses option 1, can he change his choice to 2 or 3 in the future? The system said that you can change your choice at any time. Bai Wu lit a cigarette and thought that then he would have to take a chance. And he told the system that he chooses option 1. But if the external energy for option 2 seems to be nearby, then it should notify him. And I thought that it all depends on the situation. He can switch to any other option at any time, but for now it's better to stop at option 1. The system asked to confirm his choice. Bai Wu thought that after all, he still had an enemy as a group of scammers. Attack, defense, retreat, so many people are preparing. He can't let them down. He lay down on the bed, picking up the flash drive that Master Wu had given him then. Thought it was worth finding out if the fat man could find something, and find out what Mr. Wu gave him. 2 days later, Bai Wu went to see what was on this flash drive. He inserted this flash drive into his laptop and found that there were 2 folders on this flash drive. 2 folders were called super secret information. Bai Wu thought that there was so little information. How would he know what they were planning next? Then Lao Wang called him and said that he had very important news. Did he find some information? Bai Wu asked, what is it? What did he find? Lao Wang said he had found a fake bank that was somehow connected to him. He will send him the address now, and he should go there. Bai Wu said that a group of scammers could uncover them. They need a disguise. After some time, they disguised themselves and came to the bank. Bai Wu asked Lao Wang what he found. Lao Wang told him in a whisper that he had heard. This bank receives large sums of money from the ancient society, and they also say it's related to those people. Therefore, he could not be rash and called him. Bai Wu thought that he was really admired. The fat man was really very reliable. Lao Wang suggested that Bai Wu pretend that they were going to invest, and then they will follow their trail. Yes, and his ability to find out all the secrets is better left for a last resort. After all, it consumes a lot of energy. Therefore, they should try to sort it out themselves somehow. Bai Wu thought it was because his energy was too low, and asked the system that this bank is somehow connected with that group of scammers. The system said that the download has started. Therefore, Bai Wu thought that it was clear that she was working normally now. It was not worth waiting for. It remains to rely only on yourself. After some time, they met in the office with some man who said that this was the best project of their company. It is tested by the market and brings a stable income. He also presented everything in detail in the plan, and I asked them if they had any questions. Bai Wu thought it looked like this company was unreliable in asset management, but he doesn't see the connection with their goal here. Lao Wang said no problem. They are investing 10 million. Bai Wu didn't expect this from him and hit him on the head. He asked him who was, in his opinion, is the owner here. He wouldn't let him talk, and he told the man that he would consult with his consultant. The man said that he would wait outside. When the man left, Bai Wu said that after everything he said, he didn't see any clues at all, and asked Lao Wang if he was sure that they were connected with scammers, and he also said so simply that he would give 10 million. How does he think what would have happened then? Lao Wang said they probably would have found the evidence. Bai Wu said it was wrong, and I asked him if he was lying. Lao Wang said no, never. Bai Wu asked him if he had already forgotten what he had done for him. Lao Wang he said that it was fine, let him just not worry so much. He was really looking for clues here. He did not find the answers, but he found that many people from society are invested here. Then he thought that he could also make money on it, but he was afraid that he would be deceived, so he called him. Bai Wu told him to learn how to prioritize already. How can you be so greedy? Besides, didn't they decide that they would earn money together? They were going to cheat him, collect all the money from him and run away so that later he could not even buy a place in the cemetery. Lao Wang said no. Several of his friends also invested and made huge profits. He knows his place. During this time, he earned a lot with him. Well, what awaits them in the future? He wants to be always ready for the future. Bai Wu said he couldn't explain it to a fool like him, but he had to remember something. He will take care of his future. He should stop talking this nonsense and follow him. They left the office together where the man was waiting for them. He asked him if he was really leaving already. Bai Wu asked what? Is it really forbidden to leave here? Lao Wang told this man that his brother did not find him reliable. The man asked them to believe him to see them. The main shareholder and the boss are influential people. Especially in the ancient circle, they are influential figures. Bai Wu asked, what is the antique circle? The man said exactly what. Bai Wu thought that was really an influential figure from the ancient circle. Are they investing in an underground bank? But what kind of person could it be? Fatso, what is the Forger's Bank show by chance? How is this even possible? And I told this man that he would have said it earlier. He really likes this famous and influential antique circle. And I asked him what, maybe he would give him recommendations. He wants to meet their boss. If he turns out to be reliable, then he will give him the monthly income of the Lao Tzu Foundation in the amount of 3-5 billion. The man asked them to follow him. They came to another office. Another man was waiting for them there. It was the owner of this place. He greeted the distinguished guests and told them they could call him Mr. Z. They'd better sit down and talk. Here Bai Wu, notice he has that ring on his hand. And I thought it was him after all. Dear uncle, Bai Wu thought that he was right after all. It's the same person. How many faces does he have? Then this Mr. Z asked what his name was. Bai Wu told him to call him He. A few years ago he was engaged in the sale of coal, but he had already given up on it. He had heard from his subordinates that he was a very important figure of ancient society, and I thought that maybe he should develop in this direction. Uncle Wu said that there is nothing complicated about it. It all depends on his connections, capabilities, and, of course, capital. If he is interested, then he could bring him up to date. Bai Wu said fine, let him tell him everything. Uncle Wu said it was a very lucrative business, but the risks are not small either, but he should not doubt their professionalism. Bai Wu asked what kind of professionalism. He should just tell him how to make money, shouldn't he? And he thought that he should pretend to be an amateur because you need to talk to him. And I asked him that he was very poorly versed in antiques. Is it really possible to make money on this? Is it at least profitable? Can he just help him earn? What's in it for him? Uncle Wu told him that he must be joking. They are businessmen, nevertheless they can help him earn. Their operation is specified, he has nothing to worry about. Bai Wu said yes, they were going to use it. Do they really want him to invest in their empty chatter? Uncle Wu said that he did not understand it, because it was a trade secret. This is a rather difficult question, but he should not doubt their capabilities and authority. Bai Wu asked him if he really thought he was doubting. Then he should see his capabilities. He wants to invest in it. And I asked him how much he needed. Uncle Wu thought, who is this kid anyway? Is it really some local big shot? Or did someone else? Bai Wu said that how slow are they? Have you spent so much time on idle chatter? How can it be that antiques make a profit? Maybe he should find another company then. Lao Wang was delighted and thought that the boss was playing arrogance so cool. He didn't even dare to intervene. What should he do? Bai Wu asked the fat man that didn't he say there was a more reliable company. He should take him there. Then Uncle Wu got up and called out to him. He told him that he shouldn't worry so much because they are an honest company. Recently, a lot of forgers have appeared. He needs to be very careful. Bai Wu asked him what he had just said. Uncle Wu said that recently they had a big antique business that needed funds. If you, Mr. He, could believe them, then they would have gone to a big plus. Of course, dividends will be paid in accordance with the investment. Bai Wu asked what is true. Uncle Wu said that, of course, he was so attentive. Bai Wu thought that he was still being cautious. But he is lucky if he is still used, then including in speech such big words as big business or lack of funds. Does this mean that this bank is really related to fraudsters? The system said that the probability of connections between the bank and a group of scammers is 100%. Bai Wu, seeing this, was surprised, but said that it was good. He impressed him. Then he left. When his uncle was left alone in the office, he said that this guy seemed to be a local big shot. But people were still afraid of questions about investments. Bai Wu wondered if the system had already recovered. Well, the system continued its loading. Then the Bai fell out, which is understandable. He will imagine that she is not there, but he still needs to sort it out somehow. They were already in the car, and Lao Wang was driving. He wanted to say something to Bai Wu, but at that moment he got a phone call. It was Master Qi. Bai Wu picked up the phone and asked if there had been any major events in the ancient society recently, something that requires a lot of investment. Master Qi said that indeed one family in abroad puts up for auction a large number of rare copies. There have even been a lot of buyers who are determined to buy them. After which, Bai hung up the phone and said that the antiques auction, large sums of money, everything seems to be starting to converge. And he thought, are they really going to forge foreign antiques? With their dexterity, it's like printing money for yourself. Since it so happened, first you need to deprive them of this money and bankrupt the bank. Bai Wu thought that the only problem was that he had no idea how to deal with underground banks. They are very careful and use only special money channels. Even if he succeeds in closing this bank, it is just a room. Besides, he has no proof, he cannot act rashly. After all, there is a whole organization of scammers behind the bank. You need to cope with one blow, otherwise you can't avoid trouble. It is necessary to discuss this with Master Wu and Master Qi. They will certainly be able to find a solution. He was about to call them, but then the system told him that, it seems, he is not capable of solving problems without the help of the system and external people. Bai Wu asked the system, what is it about? Shouldn't it be rebooting? Why is she complaining? The system said that because he is incapacitated without the system, he should choose option C right now. Bai Wu thought that the system was looking down on him, but he would prove it to her. Without relying on the system or other people, he will be able to destroy the underground bank. Lao Wang looked worried and told his boss that he really didn't want to lie to him about today. Honestly, Bai Wu told him that if it wasn't for him, he wouldn't have realized that an uncle from the Wu family owns an underground bank. He is acquitted. Lao Wang was shocked and asked what he had just said. Is the owner of this bank an uncle from the Wu family? Bai Wu asked him if he really only realized it now. They are run by scammers. Didn't he know about it? Lao Wang said he was in shock right now. How could he have known that? But wait, if Uncle Wu is the owner of this bank, and the banks are run by scammers, then this means Uncle Wu is a member of a fraudulent organization. Only such a fat genius like him was able to find this secret. Bai Wu told him to be careful driving. Lao Wang said that okay, he can relax. And I asked him what it means. He already guessed about it, didn't he? Bai Wu said that, of course, he analyzes perfectly. Lao Wang asked him what then, what should they do now? He's going to contact Master Wu and defeat everyone in one fell swoop, isn't he? Bai Wu said they had no proof. If they blindly try to crush the snake, then it will simply slip away. A more reliable way is needed. Lao Wang asked what if they destroy the bank now? But he's not. His friend's money is still there. If you do something to him, their money will also be lost. They need to be warned so that they withdraw their money on time. Bai Wu must have thought of something and asked Lao Wang to repeat what he just said. Lao Wang said he wasn't after money. He is very loyal and will not be able to just watch his friends go bankrupt. Bai was told him not to worry, so he doesn't blame him for it. He is his blessing. He has an idea. Uncle Wu came to Master Wu and told his grandfather that everything went fine in the company. And he asked, what should he do now? Master Wu told him to straighten his back and speak straight. Uncle Vuz did as he told him, and said that here he stood up straight. Master Wu told him to hurry up, because he gets angry when he sees him. If something happens to his company from now on, then he should deal with it himself and not involve him. Uncle Wu said it was fine. Then he bows out. He was already driving in the car, contacted the man and told him that he had charged his subordinates half of the amount to his account. The rest will arrive as soon as he receives it. Scar said it was great. He was doing a great job. He did the right thing when he entrusted the bank to him. After the operation is completed, he will score a high place for him in the organization. Uncle Wu asked, is it really true? Then thanked Scar. After that, their call was completed. Uncle Wu asked, what is a high position? After all, in fact, he wants his post. When he completely subdues the entire organization, he will be able to make them pay. And the Wu family will be his too. He will control both the scammers and the Wu family. Light and darkness will be his from now on. Everyone in the ancient world will respect him. He had endured and humiliated himself for so many years. Finally, he will see the fruits of success. Then they called him again. He picked up the phone and asked what happened. He was informed that something had happened at the bank, and he was asked to return as soon as possible. Uncle Wu asked if something really happened at the bank. Uncle Wu was already going up in the elevator. He thought that he had humiliated himself in front of the Wu family for many years, hiding his claws, silently waiting for this moment. All the light and all the darkness of ancient society will be in his hands, and all of them are just steps on his path. He went up to the 28th floor and thought that he had nothing to be afraid of. Then the elevator doors opened, and he saw a huge crowd of people who were swearing. Did someone say that they should solve this issue? He wants to take his money, they have to hurry. An elderly man asked what he was carrying, because he had a contract. The woman told him to give her the money now. Bank employees tried to calm people down. I told the women to. Suffered. Is their boss coming now? The man began to assure them that their money was completely safe, and they had nothing to worry about. That's when their boss showed up. He said their company has never restricted anyone. Do they want to withdraw money? Let them take it off. However, they will not be liable for damages. According to the contract, they can only receive the principal amount. The man asked what, and what should they do then? The woman said that whatever it was, they should first take their money. An elderly man asked, what then does it mean that they invested in vain? The man who was standing next to Uncle Wu was angry. He asked why in vain. Their company has strong financial resources and a reliable reputation. How is it in vain? The man said he was leaving. Rumors. Uncle Vuz asked, what are the rumors? It's good that he found out about it in time. The driver said that if there really were problems, they wouldn't be standing in front of them now. They shouldn't worry about anything. The man said he wasn't sure if it was their family savings. The woman said that even if this is the case, they still have to return the money to them. Uncle Wu said it was fine. They have to go through formal procedures, after which they will add them to the blacklist of companies, and ask the others that anyone else wants to withdraw money. The others asked him to give them more time to think. Uncle Wu chuckled and thought that they had spread rumors, alarmed his people, and were now retreating. It's a bluff to delay them. He needs to calm them down somehow. He turned to his driver and said what about the people he was looking for. The driver said he reminded them, and they're almost here. Then two men burst in, one of whom said that he had heard that it was much safer to invest here. The owner of this place is very talented and insightful. He's definitely reliable. Another man asked that where is the owner. They want to invest all their money. They have several tens of millions. The driver told Uncle Wo that it seemed to be them. Uncle Wu thought it was just in time. Turning to them to Messrs. Chang and Zhu, he greeted them and said that he was already waiting. After that, he introduced them to the people who gathered here and said that they were the influential people of Beijing. They came here specifically to invest in. An old man asked if it wasn't Wang Ergalu and Lai Huzi. Another man confirmed and said that yes, it was them. Then this elderly man asked that when did these jerks manage to become the big bosses of Beijing. He approached Mr. Chang and said that he still owed him 300 yuan. So where did he get millions from? Is this Mingbi? After that, a fight broke out between them. A man pulled a suitcase out of their hands, and it accidentally opened. There's no money here, just old clothes. Mr. Chan told the boss that they had been found out. Their performance didn't work. Mr. Zhang also took to his heels and said it wasn't their fault. The remaining dissatisfied people asked the boss, what are these his people? It seems that something happened to them differently. Why would he do such a thing? The boss was in a panic, but told everyone to calm down, because it seems there was